Hello, my name's Mr. Simpson. I'm the subject leader of film studies at Bay House School, and I'm just here to give you a bit of an overview as to what the course consists of, what kind of thing to expect if you were to choose to study film studies here. Okay, so a bit of an overview of the course. Our aim is to basically give you a good education in film as a cultural innovation and also as an art form. And we do this by studying the ways in which film directors use film language to communicate their ideas to the viewer. So elements of film form are listed on the slide: cinematography, lighting, mise en scene, editing, and sound. We also look at what messages did the director want to communicate, what their ideologies are, what the contexts that are relevant to it at the time were, so social and cultural context, as to when the film is set and when it's made. And we also look at things like narrative and spectatorship. So narrative being how a film's constructed in terms of the plot and things like this, and then spectatorship, the different ways that viewers can consume films. So we cover a wide and diverse range of films, from Hollywood classics to modern blockbusters. So you'll learn about a wide range of films, some of which you never would have learnt about before. There's also a coursework part, which would involve either script writing or filmmaking, which is 30% of the overall mark. And I'll talk a little bit more about that later on. So our previous year's examination results, so people often want to know about this. The class who has gone through to complete the A-level, the only class, our first class that has now completed it, there were 10 in that group, and we had very good results. Everyone got A-star to C, and we had a 70% A-star to B. So we're really happy with that. But the classes since have been bigger. So we've got our current upper sixth, there are 19, and our current lower sixth, there are 21. So it's gaining in popularity since the first time we delivered the course, which was this group which did their exams or would have done their exams in 2020. So the course, some of the films, or all of the films that we currently cover, are on the board for you there. Excuse me, we have got the classic Hollywood, Casablanca and Bonnie and Clyde. So you start with an idea of sort of the birth of Hollywood film, get an idea about its background and how it developed, and look at the institutional context and the technical context, the technical elements that go into making film and how those changed. We also look at British film. So the two films we study at the moment is Trainspotting and This Is England, and look at how they reflect Britain at the time they were made and reflect the attitudes of the directors. We look at more recent American film, so La La Land and Beasts of the Southern Wild are the two that we look at, both of which have elements of what we call magical realism, so elements of reality and fantasy mixed together, and you kind of look at what messages they communicate. With global film, two films that are very much kind of have magical elements, Pan's Labyrinth and City of God. Very gritty. Well, Pan's Labyrinth has the magical element, City of God doesn't. But yeah, some very gritty films. And these global films, I believe, are a really interesting way to discover information about the rest of the world and other cultures, okay, in an accessible way. They're fantastic films. We then look at other sort of like niche areas of filmmaking. So documentary film, we look at the film Amy, which is about Amy Winehouse. We look at experimental films. We look at Pulp Fiction, which is experimental in the way that it uses postmodernism, the defining postmodern film of the 90s. And we look at silent cinema, which currently we look at the film Sunrise. Okay, and on top of that, we have our coursework, which historically here we've done the script writing option, which we've had actually quite a lot of praise for the product, the work from our students that has been seen by the exam board during moderation. We've had a lot of praise for the quality of those screenplays. So that's another skill that kind of we teach on the course, is how to construct screenplays for your original film ideas. Okay, so why choose film studies? Well, obviously, as somebody who leads on the subjects, you know, I'm going to be biased, of course, but the things that I believe, it can give you new insight into films and filmmaking. So everyone who does this course starts as a film fan, but ends up with a much more detailed insight into what goes into making a film and how meaning is created through the language of film. So it's a literate essay subject, so it links very well. We have a lot of people who study English literature and English language, or sometimes history, so other subjects which are essay subjects, especially literature, where in literature, you're studying novels and deconstructing them, and it's exactly what we do in film, but instead of the novel, we're doing it with the film as the product. You might also be exposed to a range of films you've never otherwise seen. So on the slide here, I've put Pan's Labyrinth and City of God posters. Both of these films, our students quite often say that City of God is their favourite one of the course. A lot of them, of our current opposite, are saying that. And Pan's Labyrinth is a real favourite as well. Just these films that are not Hollywood films, they're kind of more indie films that perhaps otherwise you wouldn't know about or wouldn't access. And it often gives people this enthusiasm to explore different directors and different types of film. Plenty of opportunity for discussion and debate. So, a lot of the questions in the exams are, to what extent do you agree, and things like that. So it's really interesting to get people's different opinions and exploring these films. Something else as well for film studies, we have the creative element. So, you have the opportunity to learn how to write industry standard screenplays. Which is something that, if you explore and you develop, is something that sometimes people can go on to study further and perhaps, become a screenwriter. And also the other thing is you'll have teachers who are really passionate about film. Obviously, I am passionate about film, and so are the other teachers who teach on the course. So just a little bit of extra information. I was asked to share any trips and things we've done. So in previous years, we've done a screenwriting workshop at Chichester University. So we've got a connection with them where screenwriting teachers from the university given a bit of a workshop sort of at that higher level, which has been great. Chichester University has got a brand new, or it's only a couple of years old, sort of whole building dedicated to media and film with professional level green screen rooms, sound stages. So just the opportunity to go there and have a look and see what's going on there was really excellent for the students. My hope is to develop that and offer that more in the future. Unfortunately, because of the lockdown, we weren't able to do it with the current upper sixth. And we have, in the previous year, done a trip to the Harry Potter studios. We had a script-to-screen session where someone who worked there gave us information about how a film goes from the script stage all the way to being made and released. So that was interesting. Obviously, that was more interesting for the people who were interested in Harry Potter, but even for other people to see actual props and to see how a lot of these special effects were created, people really enjoyed and found interesting. So to round off, that's film studies. I guess in a nutshell, I would say it is like studying literature, but instead of novels, we're studying film. If you're enthusiastic about film, if you want to explore a wider range of films, and you would like to, you sort of relish the opportunity to study film as a literate subject rather than just something that you watch at home and enjoy, okay, then this would be a great course for you. All right, hopefully look forward to seeing you next year here. Thanks.